Yo, my name is Chris Gongora, and with me as always is my trusted little pal Jazz. So we are in the middle of the first full week of October, my favorite part of the year, for it's Halloween season. Today I thought I'd talk about some scary movies, and in particular, a movie that was released in 1999. When I first saw this movie, I thought it was one of the scariest things that I had ever seen in my entire life, because I wasn't even sure what I was watching. Was I watching something so real that it had to be seen to be believed? Or was I being bamboozled by some filmmakers making a weird little horror movie? And yes, I just said bamboozled. Now granted, back then, I wasn't as big of a horror movie fan as I am now. But even if I was, I still think it would have gotten 1999 me. Allow me to explain. I was in a band called The Peak Show, which, by the way, as a little side note, was one of the best bands that I have ever been a part of. And I've been in many bands. There were some that were pretty horrendous, some that were decent, some that were pretty good, and then there were some that were great. Like, really great. That number is really small though, and The Peak Show was one of those bands. We were a trip-hop band with like a punk mentality. We had the leader of the band, drummer, and DJ, Mr. Gabriel Front Row Roland, the lead guitarist, Mr. D-Rock Goodwin, and the energetic front singer with the sweet pipes, Holland Greco. At some point down the road, we have to make a little video about The Peak Show. I think we were pretty awesome. On a side note, just think how crazy it is that there is so much music. Let me rephrase. So much great music that the world is robbed of listening to. Countless artists that are just as good and maybe even better than the 40 artists that are on constant rotation on the radio that for whatever reason just don't get their fair chance to break through. If you don't already, search out some local indie do-it-yourself artists sometimes. I bet you'll find some diamonds out there. Anyways, wasn't I talking about horror movies? Let's talk about horror movies. So I bring up The Peak Show because Gabe, the drummer, lived directly across the street from me. And one night, Holland, the singer, initiated a little band meetup. She said there was a tape being spread around her office that had everybody talking. And she finally got her hands on a copy and wanted to see why everybody was so eager to see this tape. She asked us if we wanted to meet up at Gabe's house so we could all watch the tape together. She didn't explain what the tape was about, what was on it, how long it was, nothing. We were going in blind, and I was curious. It was right across the street from my house, so why not? I walk across the street, which took like 15 seconds. I think everybody was there already. I mean, I don't remember, it was 1999. Some details are bound to escape. So anyway, we all cozy up in the front room. Holland puts in the tape. Right from the start, the video's a little jumpy, looks stretched out, it's grainy. Kind of like if it was a 4th generation copy. If anybody's watching this that remembers VHS tapes, if you watch them over and over and over again, and then started making copies of copies, the quality went downhill real quick. So we start to watch the content of the video. It was like a video diary of some sort, of these 3 young people who decide to make a documentary about this legend called the Blair Witch. They go into the woods, they get lost in the woods, and crazy shit just starts happening to them. The band is all watching completely captivated. I myself thinking we're watching some snuff film. Holland still saying that she herself has no idea about the story we're watching, or if it's real or fake. We sit there for an hour and 20 minutes as these poor kids get into deeper and deeper shit, until it finally ends with one of the dudes facing a wall with his back towards the camera. I was confused, I was horrified, and I was shook. I don't know what I just witnessed, and it terrified me. That 15-second walk back home was the longest 15 seconds of my life. I kept looking behind me as I was walking towards my front door. I thought about what I had seen for days to come. And I kept going back and forth in my head to how disturbing the footage was, to there was no way that that was real. Until I finally saw an advertisement for the Blair Witch Project somewhere. A movie playing at a theater near you. It was a movie. It wasn't real. And it got me. It made me question my reality. And it was brilliant. All of it. The Blair Witch Project helped usher in the found footage way of presenting a movie. And the marketing, I mean really without the marketing, does the Blair Witch go on to gross $248 million in Spawn franchise? They made up a fake website describing the legend of the Blair Witch and wrote about the missing filmmakers. They talked about the missing people in chat rooms. They made and distributed missing person leaflets with the faces of the stars of the film. A lot of this stuff is a no-brainer nowadays. But back in 1999, when the web was a much different place than it is now, they took full advantage of that technology and applied some out-of-the-box thinking to cause their little project to go viral before viral was even a thing. I've seen the movie since then, and I think if I would have seen it in the theaters first, knowing that it was a movie, it definitely would not have impacted me in the way that it did. So I thank Miss Holland Greco for presenting the Blair Witch Project in the way that she did, as that night ranks up there as one of my favorite horror movie watching experiences of all time. And at least for one night, it was the scariest thing that I had ever seen. Isn't that right, Jesse? That shit was scary, huh? Jazzy wasn't alive back then. She wouldn't know. So that's it. Jazzy and I will be back next week with some more bullshit to talk about. Isn't that right, Jesse? Isn't that right, my girl? Alright, Jesse, ready to get out of here? Wanna get out of here? Let's get out of here, come on.